Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomena, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Good evening, everyone. Hey, Tiffany, how's it going by you today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good. We're expecting that storm, but hopefully we make it through and I make it through the show before it hits tonight.
A hailstorm, right?
Yeah. It's over the next 3 days. It's supposed to rain and hail. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, I'm looking forward to tonight's show, and I know you are as well.
Yes.
We've done panel discussions in the past, but nothing like this. This is going to be a fun one.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
And we have a lot of new faces today. I think we only have one returning face. He was on the show back in, I don't know when Kenneth was on the show last, but it was several years ago when we were first launching, when Philip was still on the show with me. Mm-hmm. But other than that, everybody is a new face. So I guess we will
bring them on.
Bring everybody in. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. How are you doing?
Good.
Great
to have you tonight.
Hopefully Rick has sound. I don't think so from that look.
I know. Oh. No, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going, and I'll keep messaging him on the side. But thank you guys for joining us today. I'm looking forward to the show tonight. We're going to take, I guess, as deep of a dive as we can into what it means to do what you guys do and be part of the psychic world.
I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and start introducing yourselves and kind of give everybody a little bit of insight into when it was you first realized that you had these abilities.
Ken, you're at the top. Let's start with you.
I'm Kenneth Holden. I live here in a very small town of Marion, South Carolina, and as part of my abilities. Actually, when I was a kid, visited my family's old plantation. I did see a little bit more than what most should. I did see, previous inhabitants, including the slaves and their bloody clothes and everything. So that's when I knew I had my little awakening with my abilities, and it's just grown from there.
Awesome. Dana?
I'm up next, I guess, because Rick left the
His ghost is with us.
My name is Dana Stricker. I am from a very small town called Palmyra, Wisconsin. Thus my accent that I'm told I have. My mother says I was born weird, quote unquote. She's now 85 and still says that. I saw spirit very early, like right away in memory. So I was talking to people that weren't there, quote unquote, for as long as I can remember. I started reading professionally at age 15, and I just am still doing it. And I'm a little bit further away from 15 than I care to admit. So I've been doing this for the majority of my life. So I do all different things. I do work with missing persons and cold case files. Not a lot because I don't like doing them, but I do it. And I read people every day. I work 7 days a week, usually doing that. And then I'm also on the road doing different things around the country. So I'm very fortunate that way.
Awesome.
Very
Awesome.
good. Very good.
The tiles have all shifted
I know.
and everybody's moving.
The Brady Bunch got
Yeah.
scrambled.
Yes, that is that. That is that.
How about Tim Shaw? Let's hear from you.
That would
And
be
I'm
me.
gonna, yes, I'm gonna
Hey
try
guys,
and add.
I'm Tim Shaw, and let's see. I can trace spiritualism in my family to the 1880s during the Golden Age. My relatives were all readers at the Spiritualist Enclave at Lilydale in New York, and I've been the first time. I think I went to Lyceum, which is our Sunday school, was in right around 1972. So that'll give you an idea how old I am. I'm older than you, Dana, much older, and I've been working. I'm probably working at least almost 30 years. I've worked with all different types of people, and even though I do bill myself as a spiritualist, I really don't follow a lot of the dogma because of the fact that I have experienced a lot of other things that really didn't go with the actual religion. And we all know religion is created by man, you know, it's truly true. And I've had a podcast for almost 25 years, and I have just been busy. I've worked with a lot of great people over the years, and stumbled into network TV and things like that. So, and I just now in my golden years, Dana, that you're not quite at yet, I am busy all the time. I do a lot of preservation work. I do charity work. And one of my greatest things I like to do is I go to an old cemetery and we reclaim and dig up old tombstones and reset them. So that's just some of the things I do.
Oh,
It's very cool.
That is
that's
awesome.
sweet. Oh,
And how about Two Faces podcast? Tell us
Hi.
about you guys. Hi, it's very nice to meet you.
My name is Janine, but I usually go by J9 when I do the podcast. So I'm J9 from Two Faces Podcast. I do more of the medium work on the show. We investigate and do paranormal investigations here in Las Vegas, but we've traveled out of state. I guess I first started noticing my mediumship abilities when I was very young. My mom's sister had passed away from cystic fibrosis when she was 17, and I was able to kind of tap into her spirit, even though as a young kid I didn't know anything about her passing away or anything. And then I just always really wanted to go to cemeteries, so I would ask my mom to bring me to the cemetery, and eventually I got to go see her grave, and it was just a place where I wanted to go every weekend, and I was able to tap into the dead, and you know, sometimes I'm able to see how they passed away, or they kind of wave me over. They tell me, you know, things about themselves. So I know it sounds weird, but I guess I'm able to read people too. I'm not really like a tarot card reader. I never really got into any of that, but I think that's just about as far as it goes. And my husband's more of the engineer part of the paranormal investigations.
Yes, with her help, I developed a mobile app called Spirit Data. Not to turn this into a plug or get too techy with it, but I help with research on the technological side.
Awesome. Okay. And how about Reverend Amy Major?
hello, hello. I am Reverend Ivy Major. I am a metaphysical minister, not another dogma of religion. And I am also a spiritualist, 25 years now, a spiritualist and a metaphysician, going for my master's and doctorate as well. I woke up to mediumship in the year 2000 after my whole life hearing voices in my head, not knowing that it was actually spirit, just thinking I was communicating with my inner dialogue. A lot of astral travel, past life dreams when I was a kid, just communicating with voices in my head since I can remember. And then one year I had an astrology reading that told me that I was going to be a psychic and medium and do it for the rest of my life. And that was my calling. And I thought she was pretty crazy, because here I am, ex-military, out of naval intelligence, thinking I was going to do that for the rest of my life. And someone's telling me I'm psychic, which I didn't really believe in, until she started telling me all the things that a psychic and medium does. And I realized I'd been doing that my whole life, thinking it was normal. But I grew up in a very agnostic family. Nobody really talked about religion. Nobody said anything about ghosts. My mom was an active medium, though, but everybody thought she was crazy. And then her grandmother was actually locked up in a mental institution for 40 years for hearing voices, and she died there.
Oh, wow.
So this was something passed down in my family generation. And I decided to embrace it. I started going and getting classes. I do tarot card readings, but it's not my forte. I really connect to other people's spirit guides for a living. I do a lot of message work. And then when I started getting more involved in mediumship, I started noticing I was attracting earthbound spirits like a magnet, and they were swarming me every day for 5 years. And I kept pushing it away over and over again until my guides, the voices in my head, would come through and like, you're supposed to be helping these spirits, and they need help, and they're not bad. But every medium out there, including the spiritualist mediums, would tell me that I was doing the wrong thing and that these spirits were bad and you had to stay away from them. And so I really didn't have a lot of references or resources or people to help me. I had my guides on the other side to kind of guide me along and help push me into more rescue work. I started Googling when it finally was up and running, and started noticing other mediums around the world were using the same terms and information that my guides were telling me. So it proved that it was real. But I had nobody else telling me that it was real. So I had real validation that I wasn't going crazy. And so the moment I accepted it, I started getting more and more involved in the rescue mediumship field, which is an advanced form of mediumship. I have been a spiritualist for 25 years, though the spiritualist churches don't recognize rescue mediumship. I've been desperately trying to get them more acclimated to it. My personal church here in New Hampshire allows me to teach it and allows me to talk about it. But you're going to find when you go to spiritualist churches here in the States, they don't like talking about it at all. If anything, they'll walk you out the door if you try talking about earthbound spirits. I had a lot of people, hundreds of students come to me throughout the years saying the spiritualist church and other mediums have made me cry because they told me I was doing something wrong. So people would end up finding the way to me. From there, I decided I wanted to start writing books. I currently have 3 books out, published now. I just sent my 4th book to the publisher. I do teach rescue mediumship internationally around the world. I created an online center called the Spirit Rescue Center that is an online platform where people can get certified with rescue mediumship as well. I am a host on a podcast called Spirit Rescue Talk, where we do talk a lot about earthbound spirits and the paranormal as well. So I've been doing this work since the year 2000. I'm going to be doing the work for the rest of my life, but my main focus is to educate people about this work so that other developing rescue mediums don't feel alone and they feel supported.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. And Rick, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Yay.
Perfect. Rick, thank you. And thank you for joining us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I started in the paranormal about 22 years ago. My first obsession was EVPs. I really put all my time and energy into EVPs. It got to the point where whenever I would go on an investigation, I would get up to like 30 EVPs a minute. It was kind of crazy how they were coming to me. When I would walk into like locations and they would have all their equipment set up, things would go off with my energy. So it was kind of cool to be able to work with teams and be able to offer EVPs. And see, when I first started, nobody really was into EVPs like that. But back then, it was like that was the thing I was doing. At the time, I was not a gifted individual. I did not get my gifts yet. So I had to work really hard in the paranormal field, going around all these haunted locations, trying to capture all these EVPs. The thing so cool about it, See, I have a special hearing because I had Bell palsy when I was younger. So what happened is I was putting stuff in my ear, peroxide, to actually help with the earache. And then it was actually eating my ear away. So they gave me some medicine to actually build my ear back up. And they gave me a special hearing where I could hear a different frequency than other people, which is really kind of cool. So I was hearing all these spirits and all these voices, but nobody else was hearing it. So it was kind of like I was all by myself for a while. So I kind of adventured on my own, did my own thing for a long time. But then what was happening, I was getting so obsessed with EVPs that it was kind of ruining my life. It was taking over my family, it was taking over my job. It got to a point where my wife was about ready to divorce me. My job, I almost lost my job because of it, because I was doing recording in people's houses and stuff. So it was really kind of crazy how I was obsessed so bad with it. And then all of a sudden, I had to put the recorder down. And then God looked at me and said, I have to give this guy something else because I think he's a devoted person. Let's see what he can do. So I ended up going through a weird thing where I was seeing Bibles for 30 days to get me off of the recorder. So I would see a Bible here, a Bible for the next 30 days. And pretty soon I was weaning off the recorder and I wasn't hearing the spirits anymore. I wasn't hearing the actual EVPs anymore, which was a good thing. So I was kind of a little bit lost. Then all of a sudden I started saying, well, let me see what's going to happen on my job. So the next thing on my job, all of a sudden I was seeing things happen on my job. I would see, like, for instance, I would go to a house, I would actually put on my recorder, I'm going to see a three-legged dog come to the door. So I would go to the house and all of a sudden I ring the doorbell and a three-legged dog would come right up to me and actually bark and actually let me, pet it and stuff, which is kind of cool to see a three-legged dog. And I actually put it on the recorder an hour earlier. What I was doing was starting a remote view, and I didn't even know what remote was at the time. So I started remote viewing and seeing things in the future. So it got to a point where I was actually like 70 to 80% on target. And then I took that information and I started going on before Facebook. Actually, whenever MySpace was going on, I would actually go and I would actually put a post up and say, let me see what's around you. Because I was remote viewing people's things in their room and stuff. So that was my first gift, was remote viewing. And then after that, I started doing past life reading. And then after I started connecting on Facebook with past loved ones and then people's energy. So I've been reading, I've been doing this, like I said, for 20 years. I've read over like 14,000 people. I've worked on over probably 30 missing person cases. I've written 3 books. So I've had a really interesting journey, very interesting. But the thing is, everything's made of energy. And it seems like I'm able to plug into a person's energy or a past loved one. But I see their energy when they were here, like a past loved one. I don't see them on the other side. I see them here. I connect with their energy when they're here, and I see everything about them, like how they were living their life, their feelings, their emotions, all that stuff, how they pass. All that stuff comes to me. And I sometimes get information to help the individual when they're searching for more answers, how I can actually get that information for them from connecting with them. So it's been really an amazing journey.
Wow, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I'm just going to kick everything off here, and I'm going to ask all of you a question, and then you guys just take it from there. Do you think psychic abilities are something that everybody has on some level, or are some people just, for lack of a better term, just wired differently?
I can answer that if you want me to.
Go ahead.
I actually teach in classes, but the thing is, a big problem is what is the person actually doing? Are they actually taking medication? Are they drinking? Are they smoking? Are they doing drugs? I mean, there's different things can actually hurt you when you're trying to connect with stuff like that. I used to teach classes. Somebody's heavily on medication, they're not connecting like somebody that is not on medication. So you have to actually look at the situation and see what's actually being actually, showed to them. And the thing is, a lot of people, they won't put the time and energy in it either. So most of the people that actually will come on and do some of my tests and some of my exercises, they really won't put the time and energy into it. So they're not going to learn. They're not going to open up their mind. They're not going to open up their abilities if they don't actually put time and energy. I was so obsessed. I put all my time and energy into it. That's why my abilities grew. But I'm telling you, I think there's just so much in life now that people just don't have the time and energy. They don't put the time and energy. And that's why they're not actually getting the gifts opening up for them.
First off, I'm going to come right out and say I don't believe any of this is a gift. It's an ability that we all have when we're in that hunter-gatherer stage, nomadic stage. We needed something to have a little bit of an edge. So to me, this is nothing more than muscle memory. That's all it is. So I don't ever, so I have to, so I respectfully disagree with the whole term of gift. I take it away from God giving me a gift. I believe that we're all born with it and it's intrinsic within each one of us. We all have specialties with what we do. Some of us are a little bit more pointed and some of us are a little bit more adept at different, the different parts of being sensitive, but we're all born with it. And all you have to do is, if you have the will to awaken it and you have the time to practice it, anybody can do it. And I am a firm believer in that everybody can do this, whether it's a psychic or on the medium field.
I can add a little bit to that because I teach it. I believe a little bit about what Tim says is more in line with intuition, which is a natural evolution of our species through our natural chakra system. Intuition is housed in the solar plexus, is right in your gut. That's why we say we have a gut instinct about us. That is something that has been developed through the evolution of our bodies and humanity for primal instincts of survival. So I absolutely 100% believe in that. I do not believe that psychic ability is a gift. I think it's been misused. That phrase has been misused way too many times. But it's also used by those people that don't know how to explain that psychic ability is an actual skill set, not necessarily a gift. As you move up through the chakra system, we reach the third eye, which actually houses psychic ability, which is very different than intuition. Psychic ability is to be able to expand your senses to a higher state of consciousness, expanding to a realm in which you do not normally see it in the physical realm. So we're somehow merging third dimension and fourth dimensional abilities. So our natural curiosity as human species are going to want to evolve more to be able to see things that aren't normally around us because we're in our evolutionary state of reaching fourth dimension. In that natural evolutionary state, we're opening up our third eye consciousness even more, allowing psychic ability to be housed more in our third dimensional mainframe we call a body. So as we open up more of the third eye, we can now see, sense, feel, hear, know more on a different level that we normally can here in third dimension. So it's a psychic ability to be able to sense of a heightened sensitivity. And that's why we call it psi ability, the ability to be able to use our minds to be able to connect in with energy and read energy. Does everybody have the ability for it? Technically, yes, because if you are housed in a third dimensional body, living in the human experience, you have the capability of doing it. But everybody has the capability to sing, doesn't mean they're supposed to. It doesn't mean they put the effort in to do it. You're going to have to put effort into enhancing your third eye, which is connected to the pineal gland in your brain. So if you're able to stimulate that pineal gland over and over and over again, just like a muscle, it's going to get stronger. And as you strengthen that muscle, you're going to be able to be heightened sensitivity to reading energy. So reading energy becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. It isn't something that you can naturally do right away unless you're born already with a really exposed third eye and a strong pineal gland already, which most of us were born with that heightened sensitivity. But even if you weren't born with that heightened sensitivity, you can still develop it. Just like you want to go to the gym and work out your muscles, you can strengthen this ability as well. So psychic is a little different than intuition, but we are evolving as species to be able to claim psychic ability as a natural ability from birth.
Mine was a natural ability from birth. I never, obviously, age 2 and 3 years old, had no idea what was going on. So I'm more inclined. I think people are born with it very strongly. I'm not a spiritualist. I've studied it, but I haven't gone to a church that way. I have never sat down with any particular person except for maybe 2 or 3 over the course of my entire lifetime. I do think there are people that, I think we've all had different experiences. I believe everybody here. I'm just saying that I'm more inclined with, I think everybody has it. I think it's like survival instinct. When it boils down to it, like the psychic part. That's your gut punch. That's your don't go in that room, don't get in that car. It as it's boiled down to that itty bitty little pea-sized thing. Yeah, from that definitely. And I think, if you are in a study of it, like Tim was in a family of it, you've obviously studied it. Rick, you've obviously studied it. I never did. I don't know why I was born this way. I just came out doing it. So I think I'm the weird example of the being born with the open third eye. Is that what you were saying? Or the pineal gland? Because I don't have an explanation for it. I don't feel that makes me special. I think everybody might be born like that. Mine just stayed with me, and it wasn't like groomed out of me by anybody.
Well, my gifts came later. What do you want to say? If you want to say it's gifts or whatever, but my abilities came later when I was in my 30s. But see, my mom had the ability to read coffee cups. She would read coffee cups, put water and put coffee in, and she would turn it, say a prayer, and she would see and read the dips and the valleys and stuff, and the light and the darkness in the cup. And she was really good at it. And then my brother was able to actually put spoons on the table, and he would actually light a candle and see the reflections in the spoons, and you can actually see things too. And my sister could hold things. So see, it has been in my family too, but I didn't have the time or energy for it. It really, because I was so busy with family, so busy with work. I was a workaholic. So until it actually was shown to me, and I had an awakening, and that's when my life totally changed. And that's when I started putting time and energy into it. But I didn't have any understanding that I had any kind of gift or ability or whatever. It never crossed my mind.
Likewise. And I think it's different for everybody. I think people come into it at different times of their life for different reasons of their life. And it doesn't make one better than another. It just makes it a different experience. And that's what makes it even better, because we're all different in the way it comes about. So, and then we sit here and talk about it. So
I think you put out a really good key term, and it's something that that I teach my children very often, and I bring up individualism. And we have to remember that. It's really, really important to remember that each one of us is an individual. And like you said, we are all having our own individual experience. And it's okay if you had your experience in that way. And it's okay if another has their experience in a different way. That's what makes us so special. So.
And at the end of the day, it's pretty cool to hear everybody else's story.
Yeah.
And how you came into it, because inevitably you learn something off of other people that way too. Right. So,
and I think it's important to share stories, because you're going to run into somebody whose experience is similar to yours, and they're not going to feel alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I feel like my situation is close to what Dana was saying, because I feel like growing up in like a very chaotic situation, that as a young child being in like fight or flight mode, that it allows you to like tap into that part of your brain more, where I think, if you grew up in a less chaotic environment, you're not using that part of your brain all the time. And I think that's where I'm able to read things a lot faster, and see things before they happen. Like I could just sense it right away, and that might just be instinct, but I think sometimes mine's a little bit stronger than others. And also being in the classroom with kids for 20 something years or whatever, I'm able, when I was a librarian, I was really able to see like what those kids were into, or I could kind of tap into like what I think they should do when they get older. And it's that part of my brain that like I constantly use. So sometimes like I'll get a little itch to say something to one. I'm like, what do you want to do when you get older? Like, do you want to, do you want to act, or, and so I'll touch on something and they'll be like, yeah, that's exactly, how did you know? So it's kind of, it's kind of a fun thing to have. I never bring it up, while I'm in the classroom about anything like that, because it's inappropriate, but
it's just like Reverend Amy said about, it's like a muscle at a gym.
Yeah.
If you work it, and I actually tell my clients that, which is super funny. I say it's like if it's like working out, if you just leave it, and by all means, it's up to whomever. If you don't want to use it, like I use it, or whoever uses it, or what do you want, or whatever you want to say, but it'll stay weaker. But if you work it, it's going to get stronger, right?
Yeah.
There's a choice to be made there too. But I do use that. That's funny that you said it like that, because I'm like, I say that.
Yeah, it's true. I think more people would actually embrace their psychic ability if they felt it was more accepted in society. Because quite a few people actually are born with the ability, but they keep it to themselves, or they subdue it, or try to ignore it because they're so afraid of being judged or harmed in some way. Not to go into past lives, but many of us that are psychic in this life isn't our first time being psychic. Many of us have had past lives where we may have suffered horrible deaths from our abilities. And I've taught many students around the world, they're like, I'm afraid to tell people what I do. I'm afraid to come out of the closet and tell people I'm psychic. So I think if society was more adaptable and supportive of those with natural psychic ability, more people would be wanting to get involved in learning how to embrace their psychic ability, be something we could talk about on a daily basis.
I don't know. I kind of find a little bit it being the opposite. I really, I have to say that, because as someone who's grown up and has experienced the quote unquote new age of the Aquarians in the 60s and the 70s, and then suffering through the satanic panic of the 80s, 90s, going into the 2000s. Oh, yes. I find that we now, the stigma is not as great, except now you have to understand, I live in the North. I understand in other parts of the country, it's totally different. I understand that. And I do have friends down in, down through Appalachia and going into Florida, where they have to really be careful what they say. But I can say, like, up here, I don't have any of that. I really don't. I see it in the papers. I see it on, TV is accepted. I see it locally. I see local TV segments that are done on psychics, that are done on paranormal people. I believe that since the advent of the paranormal TV shows, and subsequently them using psychics, I see, in my view, I see a greater acceptance of it. And I can tell you right now that I really have never had, I've never hid this, and I worked blue collar for 34 and a half years, and I never hid what I did. And I never had any problems with it. No one ever said, I don't want to work with him, because they would say they don't want to work with me because I was anti-Christian or something of that nature, but they never had a problem with me being a psychic or a medium.
Now, see, that's different.
But again, it's a lot of it is location too.
I think it's location. You're very blessed in that, because I am in the North as well, in New Hampshire, and I get it all the time. I live in the hub of paranormal energy, and I would go and tell my neighbors what I do, working as a medium to help cross earthbound spirits over. They still look at me like I have three heads. It's not as accepted. Yes, you'll see it in the news, you'll see it in the paper, but the average person living in this country, they can't talk about it. And especially not just this country, but all around the world. It's not accepted as much as you think. The Northeast, maybe, because we haunted New England, but you go to Utah, that's a completely different story.
Well, yeah, I used to live there. I lived there for a little bit.
Although if you go and read the Book of Mormon, there is plenty of paranormal and
there is. It's in the Bible. But
so if you go to Utah, it's a lot more accepted if you go and you do it within the framework of the Church of Latter-day Saints, because of the fact that the only reason I know this is because I visited and I've worked in Palmyra, New York, the birthplace. So, I mean, I'm able to see a lot more of it. And also in England, it's very, very accepted. Australia, and everybody says, anybody that I know that has gone there said they take their spiritualism, they take that, what we do, so intensely more than we do here in the United States. So it's not really, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I also don't agree with as a blanket.
I'm from Wisconsin. I'm pretty safe. I mean, people have known me for too long. But when I was younger, my father wouldn't let me read local because he said we're going to have people with pitchforks and torches in the front yard. I remember that distinctly. That was like 15 when I first started reading. And so I had to go out of town or keep it to friends, relatives.
Yeah.
That was his thing, though.
But Dana, when we start looking at that, when we start looking at past history, I knew the late Ray Buckland personally. And when he was outed in the newspaper, they burnt his car. But we're talking back into the 50s and early 60s. Right. So I mean that's a different time period. That's where now, you had it's a little different now.
I know there's people that don't like me. Like I said, I'm in a very small town, and there are people that I know are like, but I've been here since the summer before first grade. I've lived here my entire life for the most part, aside from a few years here and there. And I'm not going anywhere. So, just kind of calm down after 300 or 400 years of me hanging out at this house.
Well, let me throw this at you guys. So I have been seeing a lot more, and I always use this example because I follow her and she's a scientist. Mayim Bialik, the actress, who's also a neuroscientist. She has been, as of lately, I'd say in the last 2 years especially, she brings spiritualists onto her podcast. She brings people who have had near-death experiences on. She's really, as a scientist, and yes, she's religious, but she also has this very strong science background and science belief.
Yeah.
But she's really diving into this world and kind of bringing it, to the public and kind of waking it up. So do you think that we are on a trajectory to that is going to be more accepting of not just the paranormal, but spiritualism? And when I see spiritualism, just as a whole, just like being open to, look, guys, most likely there is something much more bigger than us, and it's okay to admit that, whether you want to believe it or not. Do you think we're kind of on that trajectory of there's more going on here than what we have always believed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are more spiritual now than they've been before. Not necessarily the New Age movement, but understanding consciousness. That we are a form of consciousness. They're using science and religion and spirituality interchangeably these days, whereas before, maybe 50 years ago, they didn't do that. I wouldn't necessarily say spiritualism itself. I would call it more metaphysics, which is the belief beyond the physical world. Yeah, absolutely. I feel we're absolutely heading in the right direction. I agree with Tim that we're now talking about it more than ever before. I just have really high expectations to be able to talk about it on a daily basis everywhere I go.
Wait, let me tell you guys.
Amy, you got to hang with the right people.
There you go.
Dana, hang with me and Dana. Hang with me and Dana. You'll be in good shape.
There you go. Absolutely.
Kenneth's been quiet. I wonder if Kenneth has anything to add to this conversation.
Okay. Well, if you look at it logistically from history up to now, I would say we're at one of the quieter moments in the speech about psychic abilities and opening up. But over time, as long as we get the right people in the government that can back and maybe bring the scientists out to actually, so we can step up and say, hey, this is what the ability is. Let's prove it. Have the science behind it. And then from that point, once it starts getting out a little bit more, we'll blow up like what used to be back in ancient times, and we'll be good.
Well, let me say, my name is Rick Wade. That's my author name. And I live in my town, which is, it actually has been the number one. It actually was in the Guinness Book of Records with the most churches on one street. So in my neighborhood, my name is Rick Waite. My author name is Rick Waite, but my name is Rick Prater. See, so nobody knows me. None of my friends knows me as Rick Prater. I've always been Rick Wade to all my friends in the paranormal world and the psychic world. But in my town, I'm Rick Prater because it is not accepted in my area. And I every time I do an event, it's like I have people picketing outside the places because that's how much they don't want it in the area. So it is. And I live by Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it really does happen. There's a lot of spiritual out here. I mean, there's a lot of medium places and stuff. There is, but it's really overwhelming with the Christian community.
See, I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not at odds with the Christian community. As a matter of fact, I have good friends who are Pentecostals. And I have friends who, I mean, we go and we can discuss. I've worked with exorcists over the years. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, maybe I'm an anomaly, but I work with everybody. And I do have respect for everybody, and everybody has respect for me. And I've never had a problem with that. I have seen different events where different congregations will go and picket. And I think of it like this. This is the United States. You can do what you want. And that's exactly the way I feel about it. And, you know, I think with my mindset, again, I'm not against anybody. I'm not here. My entire life has never been based on, hey, look at me. I'm special. I don't care. You know what? When I was a kid, I had an old spiritualist, an old medium say to me, boy, what you're learning here is to be an addition to your life. It's not to be your life. So basically get out there, get a job, and be a regular person. And I think that's the way I've always attacked, you know, my part in this whole field, which means, I mean, I have voodoo practitioners, Santeria priests. I have everyone who so many different religions, and it doesn't bother me, and they respect me. So I think a lot of what we're looking at right now is being able to go and understand how to fit in to the pegs that we're given. Now, I don't go, and if somebody goes and disagrees with me, I just go and say, that's fine. You want to pick it? That's fine. You don't want to come to my gallery reading? That's fine. I don't really care. And I think it's that I don't care attitude that makes the difference.
I think you're right. I think when you engage, then you give them more fuel for their fire.
It's almost as working on a narcissistic field. It really is. And the more that you fight, the more that you go and try to go and explain that that this is my point of view, the worse it gets. To me, it's like, I really don't care. I don't care. You know, and again, but see, now I'm going to just put this out there, and this is not a slam to anybody. I am not a professional psychic. I don't really care about the money. I'll make a couple bucks here and there, but I am not doing this. I have a pension, and I have Social Security, and I have my investments. So I was blessed with that. So I don't use this as a form of income where so many other people do. And I think that that's something that really that people have to understand. And the people that I work with in other religions and other traditions, they understand that. So I give back far more than what I take in. And that's why people don't bother with me. I mean, it really doesn't. I don't think that I don't have the money equation. I don't want to join their churches. I don't want to join their organizations. I don't want to be a team member. I'm an individual. And I think that's why I get respected, and I don't have a problem across the board. And I get, you know, I think one of the highest compliments I ever got was I got invited to a Pentecostal potluck. And I thought that was a wonderful thing because they opened their hearts to me, and I had enough gumption to go in there and be open to what they believe. And they can talk to me, and I really enjoyed listening to what they had to say. And they know that I respected it, whether, you know, and I've never had a problem with it. So to me, you know, these outward forms of protest are nothing more than somebody that it's just something that they're doing, and I can ignore it. It doesn't mean anything to me. It has nothing to do with my self-worth or the worth of a belief system on either side.
Well, I invite them to come in. I always invite them to come in. So it's always interesting. The thing is about it, a lot of people just don't understand things. A lot of people don't understand what we're doing out here. If they come in here and actually experience it, I'm telling you, they open up. They really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we live in a myopic, commercial, diarrhea society where we're pablum fed, and too many people are not. They do not use whatever is up here. They want everything easy. They want everything handed to them. They want to be able to go and may have somebody else turn around and make their decisions for them. Let them think for them. And all of us here that are on this panel, we don't do that. The problem is that we turn around and we get offended when they do things that are against, let's say, us. Let them. I don't care. Let them. And when you do that, and you know what, when, like you said, Rick, invite them into your home. Invite them into your home. Talk to them. Sit them down. They walk out with their religion. You still have yours.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm just going to throw a little perspective in here, because it's one thing that my guides told me a long time ago, and it may because I'm listening to Tim's story, and he really has no discrepancies against anybody, and nobody has any against him. And then Rick is feeling like, okay, I'm feeling judged. I can't do this. And I've had problems in my past. And when I asked my guides about this, they said, you will always be surrounded by your worst fear. And
exactly. 100%. Yep, you're 100% right on that.
They said what you're trying to do is figure out that you need to learn to accept yourself. If you don't accept yourself, you're going to be surrounded by those that do not accept you. But the moment you accept yourself fully, embrace yourself, love yourself, then you will find yourself surrounded by those that accept you and love you as well. Your environment and your society around you is a reflection of your internal self.
Exactly.
So that's why I feel everybody has a different story. It all depends on what you're projecting into your own reality.
But
Amy, you know what the very first law of the natural laws are. Like attracts like.
Right.
You attract who you want. You attract who you are. That's the way it works.
Well, you got to understand, though. I have 6 kids, and I've had major issues, even as being a paranormal investigator, with my kids being teased and being treated bad, and being as young kids.
Yeah.
Was a paranormal investigator, so it's been kind of hard in that sense, because they're getting bullied, they're being picked on because dad's a paranormal investigator and stuff. I had to back off from paranormal investigating before because of my son being beat up and teased because his dad was a paranormal investigator in this community where I was in. So it can be rough, it really can.
I find that weird that they get picked on, because when I was growing up, I could see it being taboo or something. You really didn't see a lot of television shows centered around paranormal investigating or anything like that, whether they're real or, they fabricate things on the shows. I don't know. I'm not going to, but I mean, like growing up, a lot of now they have like Sam and Colby and all those shows that people really get into. Like it's more socially accepted. And I think that, they open up people to psychics and all different things. So, I don't really have that as a,
It does geographically matter also. And
it does.
Certainly.
Like my daughter, I've told her, I said, do not tell anybody what mom does because of where we live. Because I've had a woman, I took my family to a local historical site that we investigated once, and I thought the grounds were beautiful. It was a beautiful historic museum, and so I took my family there, and the caretaker recognized me because it was just about a week after we'd been there, and I walked in and I was chit-chatting with her, and she had some ladies in there, and they're just part of the community and they all know each other, and she said, this is Tiffany, and she's from the paranormal investigations team that was just there. And this woman did a beeline right past me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Didn't even look at me. And my poor daughter, she was like 10 at the time, is looking at me. She's like, what is going on? I go, don't worry about it. I'll talk to you about it later. You know, so like, you know, that stuff does happen. And so we had made the decision as a family that, you know, she just doesn't, and she's totally fine with it. But, you know, at the same time, I also, when I do library talks and stuff, I take her with me, you know, and she sits there and she helps me, and, you know, she directs people, and, you know, she's just kind of there in the background. She absolutely loves it. But we made the decision as a family not to share that, you know, outside of, you know, our very small select group of people. So yeah, I think it does have a lot to do with like your geographical location, and it is something to be aware of, you
Plus
know.
Plus my job, I go into 15 different homes a day. That's my job. I'm into these people's homes. And like I said, I almost lost my job before because I did a recording for a lady in her house. And then the cops were knocking because I put fear in her house. I put fear in her. So see, the husband came in and heard about it, and he actually turned me in. So, you know, it is to a point where it's kind of, you know, I have been warned. I can't say nothing about paranormal. I can't say nothing about psychic from my job that I work 60 hours a week. I can't do that. Because if I do, I'm instantly fired. So I have to keep.
But there should be. But I'm going to be honest with you. There should be a division between what you do for your employment and the abilities that you have and your beliefs. And I never had a problem. People knew what I did. But in my employment, I never brought up what I did with anybody because it was none of their business. Now, again, with me, I turn around and I'm a firm believer in that I leave my work at work.
Yep.
They have no right to nobody, whether it's with my work partners, coworkers, bosses, HR, I don't care. They have no right to know what I do in my personal life. Now, if they want to find out about it, you want to go and get on my Facebook, go ahead. But I'm not going to talk about it. I don't share it. I'm not out there, and I am not a missionary. That is something that people don't. The problem, I think, with a lot of people, and they get in trouble with it, is they go and they get overfilled. You know, they get this amazing ability that they've gotten, and they let it spill. And you can't, and you have to have that dividing line, whether being a professional and your belief system.
Well, I was young this is years ago. I was young. So I just know I don't do that now, but this is when I first started. I was excited about it. And people would talk about missing person. I said, well, how do you record it? Capture voices? So, you know, back then it was, you know, something I thought was okay to do, but it's obvious it wasn't. So,
yeah, you live and you learn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have learned.
Yeah. It's hard out there. But posting online, again, can be very tricky with social media. A lot of people get in trouble, and you would think something that normally wouldn't get you in trouble with your employer is now getting you in trouble. Your personal life is now being used against you with certain employers, depending on what you say. So I still feel, and I will always feel this way, that we have a long way to go in our society overall in general, as far as acceptance of people with abilities and their communication about their abilities or openness. Because you can be a Christian or Jewish or Muslim and talk about your faith all day long. They cannot judge you. We have laws against that with employers, but there are no laws against us talking about spiritualism or witchcraft or psychic ability. They can use that against us because there's nothing to actually defend us in a court of law with employers right now. Hopefully,
unless you are a part of a recognized religion,
like I am.
Right.
Same here. So I mean, that's I think that's the big thing, and too many people don't realize that.
Right.
And that's ignorance of the law is no excuse. In as far as I'm concerned, you have to really be careful with what you're doing. We live in a society that loves to sue each other.
Yes.
We live in a society of bullies, especially with what's going on now in society in the United States. People are just bullies. So you have to know what your legal, what your legal rights are, and how far you can go, and what you want to. And that's something that unfortunately too many people, again, they don't want to, they want to put their heads in the sand, and they want everything in their own pocket. They want to be able to go and have everything their own way.
Right.
And you can't have it. You've got to be a realist with what's going on.
Right.
I have a question for you guys. And Dana and Rick, you guys were saying that you've done some cases in the past. How do you, I always think about this, but how do you, when you see spirit or when information comes to you guys, do you, if you're just not in the mood to do it, you're having a bad day, you can't deal with it, or if it's just too much, how do you turn it off, or can you turn it off?
I have full control over mine.
You do? Okay.
I can go anywhere and never connect with any energies, never connect with any spirits. So I learned this over time because, like I said, I almost lost my job multiple times because of it. I was seeing things and hearing things and watching doors slamming people's homes and stuff. So I had to learn to actually, keep it to myself. So basically what I got to a point where is like, I don't get into anybody's space. Like I said, if I go anywhere, I don't, only when they want me to connect with them, that's when I can. That's how I. So I never see anything. I never feel anything until it's time for me to actually connect with them if they want me to. It's like they got to give me permission to do it. But I never see anything or feel anything.
Oh, I'm on all the time because I came out that way. So it would be abnormal for me to sit here and be like, I protect myself. I ignore them. I do ignore them. I'm in Walmart like everybody else with my cart. I might see something. I'm not going to stand there and make a scene and say, how can I help you? Or I get a weird vibe off of the guy in aisle 2. You know what I mean? I'm socially aware of my situation. Right. And there's a lot of people that, no one's going to know what I don't know. I don't know how to say that I shut it off. Things happen, not every night. I'm not going to say every night I've got 6 spirits around me, or every time I turn around, there's this, because that's not true. I do have them come in when they come in. If I don't feel like talking, I'm sorry, Charlie.
See,
I don't know what you're talking about, or should I have learned? Quite possibly, maybe I should have learned, but because I've never known any different, I don't know how else to explain it, and it's hard to explain it.
But that's your comfort level. That's okay.
Insomniac, I've been since I was a child. That's probably partially. So I could have used the help back in the day, but there wasn't any. It was wasn't any.
I will say,
know what to do with me.
When it comes to cases, I don't know how to explain energy. When I teach psychic ability, there are 3 things that must be learned from the get-go: how to open up, how to close down, and how to control your energy. If you can't do all 3 of those, you have no business doing the work, because you can become manipulated very easily and you're no good to anyone. But then I learned that from the get-go because, and no disrespect, but when I opened up, I was swarmed by spirits every minute of every day for 5 years straight. And my guides was horrible
experience, and I would hate to think that people would describe me as not supposed to be doing what I've been doing for 40 years.
No.
So, I don't know. It's like I said, it's individual. And, I wish I didn't have, as a child, I wish that it wasn't that way, because it was pretty scary sometimes when I was little.
Yeah.
And even through some of my teenage years, but I wasn't running around telling anybody either, because, it was the 80s. Come on.
Yeah, I think another thing is that when you don't learn how to shut down completely, then you can be overly stimulated. You can use so much of your energy to the point of fatigue and exhaustion. So you can't read energy as efficiently as you can if you were to rest. Just like you're going to the gym and you're working a muscle, you need time to rest that muscle as well. But the longer you've been reading for, the longer you can read without rest.
Maybe.
So I can understand
Again,
that.
you know, I never had the benefit of doing, if it would be even of a benefit, because this is just, I'm a little bit off from other people. I didn't have the opportunity to take classes. I didn't have the opportunity to do all these things. These things kind of came my way, the stuff that I did learn and how I did learn it, which you don't want me starting to tell you that whole story, because I'd be sitting here for hours and nobody wants that.
Yeah. So like Amy said, this is your comfort level, because you never knew any different, right? But I think somebody who's like all of a sudden has an awakening, like, oh my God, if I went into an investigation and I walked in and I started seeing something,
I talked to a lot of people that
I would need to know how to shut it down, because I'd be like, this is way too much for me, you know.
And it was horrible, you know, as a child, because I was hearing things all night long, and of course my father thought I was wacko, so I ended up at doctors that I was tested for schizophrenia. You know, all these things happened to me very young, for mental illness and stuff like that, because, and the doctors are like, no, but you know, something's happening. And of course my mother, that's the side of the family it comes from. Her mom, me, they had stuff like that too, but not quite like me. I don't know. Again, if I could be reborn and come back, I probably would not choose to do it that way, because childhood was very rough.
Yeah, I think most of us, we had a rough childhood. I think that happens for a reason, that enhances the ability a little bit more. But just to answer your question, Tiffany, I read every day. It's what I do for a living. Read 4 to 6 hours every day. And boy, is my third eye really tired at the end of the day. But when I'm working cases, I'll probably shut down for a good 12 hours beforehand, just to allow my ability to rest, so I can kind of charge it up a little bit. I have learned techniques to enhance my energy through universal, spiritual, and earth energy to stimulate my third eye. I will then open up, step into the energy, collect. As soon as I'm done, shut down, and then ground myself, and then give the information that I've had. I've been doing cases 15 years now, but I read energy every day. I can't go to bed open, because anyone that's a medium that connects to all sorts of frequencies in the fourth dimension knows you can't go to bed open, because that leaves open doors for a lot of spiritual activity. The first 5 years, I didn't sleep more than 2 hours a night, because I had that much activity. So I teach my students, know how to shut down, know how to protect, know how to call on your guys in your team on the other side, trust, have confidence in yourself, and learn how to read energy like it's your job. Because if you're open all the time, your energy is swimming in third dimension, fourth dimension psychic energy. You're dispersing your energy, and you're not containing it. You're not controlling it. And you may not be as efficient psychically. But that's my opinion, only because I teach it that way. I don't know. I'm ex-military. I'm very much do this.
How many? I mean, we all gallery read, right? Everybody.
Yes.
Well, I do. My gallery reading is kind of different than other people. I call myself a direct connect reader. So what that is I actually, whenever I have a gallery reading, I give everybody, let's say there's 100 people in the audience, everybody gets a ticket. Then I'll draw a ticket, and then I will actually go to that individual and ask them if they want to pass love on reading, past life reading, or an energy connection reading. That's how I do my readings. So, but whenever I do my readings, I actually never look at the person when I do the reading. I always look down, and I move my hands a lot. That's how I do all my readings. I think it's like a protection. So I only get what information needs to come through or something. But that's how I do my gallery readings. So I'd be interested to see how you guys do your gallery readings.
Well, that sounds more like you're containing the energy within a space, focusing only on the channel. Because if you're looking at the audience, then part of your energy is actually expanding to the people in the gallery. Therefore, part of your energy is going to be reading them. So what you're doing is you're containing your energy, allowing for the download to come through for preciseness. And I actually like that, the way that you do that. That's good. But, we have in the spiritualist churches, they teach direct mediumship and indirect mediumship. So it all depends. Overseas, they do more indirect, which I think is fun. Here in the States, they teach you, at least in the churches I've gone to, they only teach direct mediumship. And so I know Tim knows the difference, but for those that don't know, direct mediumship is where you actually go directly to the person sitting in the audience, connect to them, energetically link in, and then see what spirits are there for that person. Going indirect is actually going to spirit first, having spirit come through, and then seeing who in the audience can validate that information. So every gallery is different for each medium. So. Sorry, not trying to teach.
That was really good. That was really good.
That's good information. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's a lot of fun. Galleries are fun, but they can get tricky. I once had a spirit chase me and follow me with every reading because the spirit wasn't finished talking to their niece. So literally every reading, I was getting the same spirit over and over and over, and she would not let go. And I was just like, enough already. That's when you learn the medium has to control the reading.
Right. Yeah, I would.
100%.
And I don't have that. See, I don't see spirits and stuff like that when I do gallery readings. It's just totally different. I call myself a seer. I call myself a medium. So I think it's different from me, than other people because how I do it that way. But it'd be kind of cool to have some spirits come and talk to me and stuff, but I don't have that luck.
Not always.
Well, it'd be cool for me.
Depends on the spirits.
I've never had that happen. So it'd be for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. Every medium is different. I want people to recognize that.
Yeah.
Every medium has a different style, a different way to connect, a different way of receiving. The one thing I don't like to see out there is mediums bashing other mediums because they didn't say the right thing or do the right thing or create the right message. I'm like, wait a minute. If that medium's showing up, putting their effort in, opening up their heart and doing the best they can, they're doing enough.
Exactly. Right. I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree 100%.
We need to support,
and that goes for all professions too.
All professions.
Yeah, certainly. That's. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Another question I have for you guys, I guess a little bit more for Amy, but for all of you, I'd like to get your input on it. How do you feel about the people out there who say you cannot rescue a spirit? You can't cross them over. It's not possible because if you're doing that, then you're interfering with free will. I've actually seen that written down in some posts. So
I love to hear other people's opinions before saying.
I mean, I'm going to be totally honest with you. But the first rescue circle that I participated in, I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and I'm a firm believer that everybody has free will on this side and the other side. And I believe that many of the spirits don't want to go on or they're afraid to go on. And if we can convince them to go on through prayer, through vibration, through energy, through whatever, we can get them to go. Right. Too many people, though, they use the term earthbound as an anchor, as a chain to the earth. And I believe that if you can convince that soul on the other side that you don't have to be here anymore, it's time to go on. And if you can go, sometimes we would go and pray to bring down the relatives and the friends of this departed soul to help them and to convince them to go on. And it's a gentle thing more than anything else. So I have to disagree with the people that say that that they are stuck here and you can't get them to go. I think if they don't want to go, they're not going to go. Right. But sometimes you have to go and you have to work a little bit harder. And sometimes you have to go back a few times to help them. But I have to say that in my experience that we've really been able to do some great work in allowing these souls to go on and to move on.
I've never witnessed it, so I've never Never been to anything like it. So it would be kind of interesting to watch it. I think it'd be kind of cool.
It is very cool. It is very cool. I think there's a huge misconception of rescue mediumship out there that's been given a bad name. And many paranormal investigators or anyone says that rescue mediums force spirits into the light. Not once in my whole career have I ever been trained, taught, done, coerced a spirit, forced a spirit into the light. We never go against their free will. If anything, we teach free will. It is a spiritual law that we must abide by 100% in the work we do. Rescue mediumship is a form of counseling earthbound spirits that feel stuck. It doesn't mean they are stuck. There are never any spirits stuck beyond their own free will. Everything is self-imposed through their emotional, mental state of consciousness. As rescue mediums, we step in to help change their perspective, get them to see, do you understand that you're dead? Do you understand your situation? Is there anything I can do to help you? Do you want to just sit and have someone to talk to? What can we do to help make you feel better? We are the counselors. We are the coaches. We are the team that comes in to help a soul feel better. That's our true job, is to make a soul feel better. And when we can make them feel better, they elevate their vibrational frequency. And at that moment, most likely they choose to move into the light. If they decide, okay, I'm ready to go, but I don't know how to go, we have tools and techniques that we can open up spiritual doors, help them into the light. We can bring soul, we can bring guides in, angels in. Even if they're not ready to go, we say, fine. There was one time I had a very reluctant spirit that came in. He really didn't want to cross over. But then all of a sudden, something just popped in my mind. I said, well, you know what? You don't want to cross over because you didn't get to finish all the things you wanted to do. Why don't I just bring a guide in and they could take you wherever you want to go here in the world? And all of a sudden, a guide stepped up. She looked like an airline flight attendant. She's like, hi, I'm here to take you on your trip. And I'm like, really? You can do that? And the spirit guide came in to take that soul anywhere they wanted to go to find their resolvement so they didn't feel attached to the physical world. So we don't have to cross them over, but what we do is make them feel better so they make the choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that example too, because I can just imagine. I had a visual in my head as you were explaining it. That was great. To know that.
Tiffany, it was a pleasure meeting you. Sorry to interrupt. It was such a pleasure to meet all of you, but we need to bail a little bit early.
Okay. No worries. Thank you for joining.
Nice meeting you guys.
Appreciate you all so much for having us.
Bye.
Have a good night.
But yeah, I can go on and on and on about that. There's a lot of misconceptions in the work that I do, unfortunately, which is why I do my podcast and I get on shows and I educate the public and I write the books, because for the most part, the spiritual community doesn't support rescue mediumship because we do the dark form of mediumship where so many dark spirits are surrounding us. So a lot of spiritualist mediums or spiritual mediums don't want anything to do with it.
No, they don't.
Paranormal side, where they think we're forcing these ghosts into the light and they no longer have these haunted locations, like we're doing something harmful to these ghosts. And that's not it at all. So we're kind of stuck in between the paranormal and the spiritual world, more metaphysical. That's why I went into metaphysics. But we're actually doing one of the best jobs out there without the support of these communities, which is why it's vital to get this information out.
I think a lot of the problem is it's been popularized in movies. I think the biggest problem that I have working both sides as a paranormal investigator and as someone who does the work that we do is that there's so many misconceptions because, I saw it on this or I saw it on that.
Right.
And people are not, that's not the way it works. And people, they just don't have it.
So angry.
Or they're coming from their own religious point of view.
Right.
Where it's like, again, I've worked with exorcists and it's like, they are more liberal than the flock that they tend to. And so many of these people have these misconceptions about what we do. They think that we're going invoking the dark arts every time we have to go in there and to try to go and settle a poltergeist case that may be non-human orientated, maybe a post-traumatic stress situation with a departed. So I mean, I think there's so much misconception out there, and TV and having worked in paranormal reality TV, I can tell you that it has done no favors to what we do when it comes to crossing over those who really need to and want to eventually cross over. I really find that they really have it's a terrible black mark. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it is very much so. I worked with CBS television studios years ago with my first book, and the writer of the show was making it very dark, not the way I'd hoped it would be. And thank goodness it didn't actually go through to be made, because I was really disappointed with the way the writers, because really hyping up sensationalism of the dark. And that's not what rescue mediumship is. We bring in the light in the dark.
Yeah.
So, stop doing that. But, the question I get more than any other question in rescue mediumship is, so many people believe that we're interfering with this spiritual world.
Yeah.
They think we're interfering and getting in the way of the natural flow of spirits crossing over into the light. And so I've had to answer that question more than any other question in my career. And when I finally do explain it, people are like, oh, I get it now. It's great. It's great to be able. Tim, I'm interested in hearing your perspective of that before I go.
I think when I'm called in on a case, when I was used to really do a lot of negative cases, 99.9% of my work was counseling the people who were affected by what was going on at the location and trying to get them to understand, no, we're not going here and we're not going to do something to harm this spirit. We're not here to push.
Right.
We're here to help. We're here to, it's almost like a balm. You want to be able to go and try to heal the hurt of this spirit, because once that's healed, they can go on. And a lot of the people that are in these locations, they end up going and attracting parasiticals and all that sort of thing because of fear and anger and hatred and being frustrated by something that's going on. And they're not getting the whole idea that what you need to do is we need to be able to go and allow these spirits to make their own judgment. And when they want to go on and they're not fearful anymore, and they understand that it's time for them to go, it's time for them to enjoy whatever it is on the other side,
right?
They will go. And I agree 100% with you, Amy, because we were, yourself. I mean, how many times have you gone in there and people are going, I just want you to go and I want you to burn some sage and throw some holy water around. And that's not what you and I do. We're here to help. It's not, but the people, unfortunately, the people on this plane, again, whether it's their religious beliefs or it's something that they saw on TV, they go and they think that we're doing something to prevent these spirits and naturally going on. It's almost like the belief of having a doll and forcing this spirit into the doll in order to contain it and bind it into this doll. I've had this many times. I have a collection here on the other side of this camera full of dolls that people have sent to me saying, I did this. There's a spirit in the doll. There you go. There you go. Right there. Right there. So it's like, no, you don't understand how this, we're here to help, not to contain. We want only the best. And people sometimes misconstrue that. And that's a shame. And but again, you got to sit down. And I think a lot of people don't take the time. I know paranormal investigators, a lot of times they skip the whole, that whole part of it. And metaphysical people, we tend to go and we're, as a medium, we're supposed to be of service of both sides of the veil. So if you're going to go and try to release, I shouldn't say release, but help this spirit move on, you also have to go and work with the people on this side, and really there has to be some kind of a balance. And you're 100% right on behalf that being a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
I know even the exorcists have this problem.
Yes. I feel the backlash that has come from the spiritual community, and I love the spiritual community. I've been in the spiritual community for years. That their misconception is that we're getting in the way.
Yes.
Of these earthbound spirits in the natural process. And I asked my guides, like, because it's what I do. I talk to guides all day long. I asked them, what's the best way that I could describe this for people that really want to understand this more? And they said, well, think about it. If somebody is here in the physical world and they're depressed and they're anxious and they're scared, will they eventually get over it? Possibly. But wouldn't it be better to have somebody come in and help them during that time they're going through that hardship, to help them get through it faster?
Exactly.
Because we don't know one left behind. We want to make sure through our compassion that we're doing everything we can to help that person feel better. And is the spirit world actively involved? Absolutely. The guides and angels are with these earthbound spirits every moment of every day. The problem arises where the earthbound spirit is in such a low vibrational state, they can't perceive their spirit.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And so what they do is they stay in a very dense vibrational frequency, cocooned in their emotional and mental state, which is usually trauma or fear. The medium's job is to go in and step into their reality to help wake them up from that pain and suffering. So they are able to see their guides and angels through that altered state of perception. We are here to adjust their vibrational state so then they can go with their guides and angels. So we are the medium between the spirit and the spirit world to help them wake up. So that's all we're here to do, really, is help wake them up, help them get to see the different perception, help them feel better, give them choices. Because quite often, a lot of these earthbound spirits, they're lost, they're scared, they're confused, they have no idea where to go. And the majority of the earthbound spirits that find me, they know they're dead. They know they're supposed to go to the other side. They just don't know how to get there. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to sit there, sorry, you'll figure it out on your own one day? I can't say that. I have to actually help them, counsel them, bring in a guide, bring in an angel, bring in a family member, bring in a dog, open up a spiritual door. I'm going to be of service because God asked me to.
Exactly. And you hit the nail right on the head, Amy, when you said compassion.
Right.
You know, it's something that people need to be able to understand that. And let's face it, emotions are vibrations. Spiritual personalities are vibratory in nature. They're going to feel the truth of who we are. And if we have compassion, they feel safe then. If they understand that we're not there to go and force them to some place that they may not want to go to, they understand that and they feel that. And they start, it's just like going to a therapist. You have to build a rapport, a bond. Only then can that therapist be able to go and help you move on past that problem. So what you said about compassion is 100% right, spot on. And unfortunately, again, like you said again, many of the spiritualist religions, because there's so many of them, they don't teach that. They don't teach about it. They only teach, and the late Ray Buckland, he was a Quaker. Sometimes he'd say all the fuzzy bunnies out there, and he referred to the pagans and and those in the craft and that would not go and worry about something that might be a little bit more ickier, a little bit darker. But he was always one that said, if you have compassion can move the world. Yes. And I believe that, especially in the spiritual world.
Absolutely. It should all boil down to compassion.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, period.
Yep.
Right.
If you don't have that, and why are you,
Exactly. Why are you doing what you're doing?
I'm hearing all of it. I'm like, but that's what, at the end of the day, you have to have that.
Well, although Dana, I've met people that are only readers.
Yeah.
For the money. That's
Right.
it. That's because they don't want to, have an employment or whatever. And it's not a calling for them. It's nothing like all of us here. It's a calling for us. It's always been a calling for us.
Right.
Whether or not you get paid, it doesn't make a difference. But at the end of the day, if you can say that you have the compassion for it, you have that, you want to go and help these people. You want to be able to go and bring forth these things, this knowledge. That's what makes the difference.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
I know you guys are talking about going into houses and helping our spirits move on and stuff. Do you think that they know before you even arrive that they know you're coming?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I believe too. Yeah.
Thoughts are things are vibrational in nature. So all you have to do is have a focus, an intent, and anything that is associated with that intent is already, it's like somebody calling ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They know. Yeah. Because usually I go.
You don't need to physically be there, because the moment you are energetically connected to that situation, the spirit can now connect to you, communicate through you. You don't have to physically be there. You can cross the spirit before the investigation even starts.
Oh, wow.
And you know what? You're physically there for the client, for the person who's called you in.
Yes.
You're physically there for them. And it's the same thing with people that want cleansing to the homes and that. You can do absentee cleansing. There's no problem with it. But you're there to reinforce. And basically, that's what we do. We're reinforcing the belief system for these people so that they don't go, and once a location may be neutralized, that they don't go and all of a sudden like freeze up or think of something wrong. And we all know that if you have something negative, that something lower, that you may convince to go, if the client goes and starts thinking about it enough, like attracts like will start coming back.
Comfort measure for the client.
Exactly.
So I prefer to do those kind of things face to face. But I understand the remote, because you don't. I mean, I'm connecting to whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm going, well before I'm even there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's always been. I'm getting message like that as I'm doing it, as I'm hearing about it, as I'm going.
Well, half the work is education to the people that are living in that location, because they have to recognize what are they doing to attract spirits into their home, for one. What are they projecting from their own energy that could be opening up spiritual doors? Are they doing anything that they're unconsciously aware of? Are they undeveloped mediums that are attracting spirits? I have countless people that come to me and they're constantly getting their home cleared. I'm like, have you ever been told you're a medium and you're attracting these spirits and you shouldn't continue to get your home cleared? Rather, you should learn how to develop your own abilities and be self-sovereign of your own energy and your own space. They're like, no one ever told me that. So a big part of the work we do is education and training and empowerment of the people that live in those locations.
My mentor always said, never leave a client, never leave a location without empowering those there.
Right.
And
Good
I'm
one.
a firm, I am a firm believer in it. And I don't even want to call this a career, but all the years that I've done this, I have always done. That is the thing that, and a friend of mine said, well, it's kind of cheap. It's like a clown. You're leaving them with a smile. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about letting these people know that they're in charge of their spiritual life and they're in control, and they have that will that they can do with it what they want. Right. And people don't, a lot of times people just, they disagree with me on it. But so far, I'm going to knock on wood. So far, everything is that I've done when I've left people, feeling better about themselves or giving them back, because 9/10 of any kind of negative stuff that goes on is people who hand over power, their control to something else.
Yes.
And most Christian beliefs, possession is something that, you go through all the stages of infestation and oppression. But I mean, in order for even a temporal possession, you have to be able to give over and open yourself up to whatever is going on. And you need to go and empower people.
Yes.
And once you empower people, all of a sudden you start seeing all this negative stuff start to collapse. And it's the same thing with everything that we do when it comes to the metaphysical field.
It's a really beautiful thing to leave a house and to see the change in the residents, and they now know that they are in charge of their own house, of their own body, of just their own life. Because I've always thought it was so, especially after getting into this work, it is so interesting to me how people, they move into the house, possibly there's a haunting happening, and immediately they've given their power away. Immediately it's like, oh, okay, I'm at the mercy of whatever is here that I can't see and I can't understand. And I have gone into quite a few investigations and I've said to them, this is your house. Take it back. You're allowed to do that, so and they look at me and they're like, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Would you do that to a living person who came into your house?
I say that every time.
And it's just so interesting to me. But I think religion has a lot to do with it. I think past religion and just the structure of control that religion has had on people in the past has kind of just embedded in to society that, oh, if this is happening, you're screwed. And there's just the only way you can get rid of it is by doing very specific things and following these specific rules. It's just kind of become embedded in us. And as soon as, I say, look, if it was a living person who walked into your house and just like sat down and started living here, you wouldn't tolerate it. Why are you tolerating this from a being they were once human? You just can't see them now. And it's very interesting to me how people can so willingly give their power away.
Well, I think personally they do that because they don't know how to take back their power.
I agree. Amy, I agree.
If somebody physically walks into their home, they know, okay, I'm going to call the police, have them removed. Yeah. If it's a spirit, what do they do? It's not the same thing. So they feel powerless because they're unaware of the things that they can do. So if there's more education, because I think people want to take their power, but because they're ill-informed about how to handle spiritual activity, they're left in ignorance, and that ignorance creates weakness and vulnerability.
Exactly. Another problem that was widespread, not so much anymore, but it was widespread, was the bargaining with spirit. You don't bargain with spirit. This is my plane. This is my house. This is where I live. No, excuse me. I'm not going to let you go and live in a closet on my third floor. That's not the way it's going to work, guys. It's either, you can stay if I don't hear or see you or sense you. But the minute you start doing something like that, you're going to be, you're out. But too many people back in the early days of the paranormal, they were like, well, I'm bargained with the spirit, and now the spirit takes over half my second floor. I've read, I don't know how many books that this has happened to. And eventually the spirit gets bolder and bolder and bolder, and it rolls right back into the same problem you have. So it's like you have to be in control 100%. But again, now we're talking about, a lot of population that is indoctrinated on TV and these really bad movies, all these horror movies. And they don't understand that they have the power rather than the spirit has the power over them. That's the big thing.
Yeah. And even prior to TV and movies, before even that started, depending on what religious or cultural upbringing you had, also would have been stifling to people that were experiencing certain stuff too, where they did not want to be exposed by going to minister or whomever,
right?
Because it would have been something they were doing wrong, their sin that they were doing. That's why this is happening in the home. Then you throw modern day version of the really bad movies. There's some really bad movies. And then the TV shows that kind of really drummed it up to the point where everything's a demon or everything's this
Dear
or that.
Lord.
Well, you know what I mean, and it really is that way, you know.
Dana, you and I work with these people.
Yes, I know. That would, you know, it makes it harder for the person living in that house, or or dealing with it.
Yeah,
they're afraid of it, therefore they're not empowered by it because they don't think they can be, because they've been seeing that like one lens into that part of it, which is what they're being shown on TV in the movies.
And it's reinforced. The fear is reinforced in their into their psyche.
So
that has to be eliminated.
Media is the only form of education they have, because the majority of people aren't going to go to a class. They're not going to learn because they don't really want to know. I mean, why do you think Ghostbusters was so popular? That it'd been a wonderful movie, but Ghostbusters gave people something of power, saying, oh, these people can actually take these ghosts out of a location. That's empowerment. That's saying you have control. So many people don't realize they have more control than they do. A long time ago, I learned when we live here in the physical world, we have precedence over physical space, meaning we have priority. Spirits have secondary priority. So if you have a ghost in your home, you have priority of that space, not the ghost. But you have to learn that. I learned that through the work I do through the years. Most people have no idea that they have priority and they have that power. We need more education.
Yeah.
We need better. Here's the problem. The truth of what we do doesn't make for a great TV show.
No.
and it doesn't pop, and it's not going to sell sponsorships and commercials, and that's the problem. Because in most of the shows that I've worked on, I've had producers come up to me and go, you got to make this pop. You got to make this pop. What do you mean I got to make it pop?
You got to make it up.
You got to make, we got to do that. No.
Nope.
And this is the problem that we have, because there's too many people out there that will go and bend over and bend to the whim of the production company in order to go and be a part of it. And that was a big thing that, I've had problems with some things. And I've had a producer come up to me and say, listen, you know how to do this and that and the other thing. He goes, I know how to make great TV, so you got to say this.
No.
And that's the problem. And too many people will say it. And I wouldn't. And I was on a pilot that I refused. To do it. And then they ended up editing in something at the very end that I had said like way early in the production.
So they skewed it to fit
exactly and
whatever narrative they were trying to go for. And see,
you have no power over it. But this is the problem. And you're right, Amy, 100%. People are getting their information from TV. And you get these ones where run demon run and everything is negative. And, was
there really a run demon run?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I heard that one.
Well, I don't think you're going to find the paranormal shows being able to change the media's opinion. But there are other networks that are getting mediums there. And if they were to take a medium that actually were to go in, tell the story of an earthbound spirit, make it sentimental, make it healing, tell the story, have all the information there, cross the spirit over, you're going to see people crying. You're going to see people say, oh my gosh, that's my story. You're going to see people healing from watching those shows, learning about how to protect themselves. So I feel there are some networks that can step up and bridge the gap between spiritual and
I think one of the worst things that happened to the paranormal community and one of the best things that happened to the paranormal community was when streaming came out, because of the fact that network TV, everything's got to pop, everything's got to sell big time commercial time. Streaming TV, where it's subscription based,
right
now you're starting to get, I would say, better. I won't say the production, slick production wise,
it depends.
But I believe that you're getting a truer a truer version of everything that goes on.
Yes.
I used to watch, it's not on anymore, but I used to watch Gaia TV, they had a lot of stuff about from the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York.
Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing show because of the fact that they went and they showed the truth of what was going on and what we do, and healing and all this positive stuff that people can actually people should be watching. But was it commercially viable? Barely. And that's the problem. And people are looking for that wow factor. And unfortunately, our society wants to be entertained. They don't want to think. And that's the biggest problem with paranormal
and it's
TV.
Also a generational thing too, where the younger people are watching different things than what
right.
My generation was watching.
You know, I turned down 3 shows. I was offered 3 shows, and they all the information I gave to them, you know, they said, "Oh, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. All my videos and stuff's gonna be great." But then they came back a week later and said, "Listen, we got to make this darker. We have to." You know, and the thing is, I said, "Well, I don't understand. To me, this is not dark. You know, to me, this is actually something kind of cool and positive. And so I bring the light. I mean, I'm not here for negativity. I was not being taken over by a demon in my house, and they wanted that. And then they dropped me because I wasn't doing it.
Well, the difference is they're entertainers, we're healers.
Exactly.
Yeah. We see
I
things
agree 100%. And I think that's why I did the guest thing on quite a few shows, but I was never going to be able, and I knew I would never be able to go and be a main character on some show because of the fact that I was never looking for something that was dark. I was never going in and going to go with it, that type of a deal. So, but I mean, again, I have a lot of hope because there are a lot of great, really, and YouTube. There's some really good shows on YouTube, but streaming has really opened it up. You know, they call it the Wild West now. But if you look at it, and I mean, if you can plug into some of the right streaming platforms, there are some very good quality shows that are being brought. The problem is that wants, and you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So, you know, we can go out there and we can offer, but if the people are not willing to listen or to accept what we have to say, I mean, you have to be able to go and say, well, that's it. Let them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody just commented to that there's a lot of locations that use the negative dark storyline simply to sell tickets.
Well, yeah.
100%.
So sorry, I didn't know you were going to. I must be psychic.
Like, wow, how did you do that?
But I agree with that.
I agree too. But you know, and I mean, and here's it's good and it's bad. It's good and it's bad. The paranormal has become an industry rather than something that should be explored. And it, you know, and I understand. And there's a lot of great places out there. I know myself. I go to a lot of them, but there's a lot of people out there that are charlatans, and there's a lot of people out there that will go and claim the dark, you know, and basically make up urban legends to be associated with different places. And, you know, if people like us will walk in and go, I don't know, I fell asleep. I took a nap. It didn't bother me. Yeah. And, you know, and other people will go and say, you know, oh my God, it was crazy. And you also have, you know, places that will go and commit fraud. So you really, you know, you have to be a little bit wise about that. But it's an unfortunate thing that a lot of people do use the negative,
right?
And really they really focus on the negative in order to go.
Or the management actually does things to jump scare people or mess with stuff in the room.
I've heard of those.
Well, I'm trying to figure out is why did it go from something of being in a parapsychology field of study to an after-school activity to where
Money.
kids are going. Yeah,
Money.
Well, it all started
entertainment
with the TV shows, which I'm friends with a lot of those people that were on those shows. I'm not dissing all of the shows, but that's what got it popular into mainstream. And once it gets into the mainstream, that's
people want more and more and more and more.
And and then
they want more scary. They want to be scared faster. They want to be scared more intensely. And the media is going to give it to them because that's what's making the money. So,
well, even if it's not good for them, I mean, people want junk food too, but we do have specialists out there, nutritionists, to say, hey, this isn't good for you. Maybe you need to change your opinion. I think we need to push back a little bit.
I think people have pushed back, but those aren't the ones you're seeing on the screen because they push back.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or they won't acquiesce or drum it up or make it darker or make up something to say to make something look better.
You know,
I'm all for ghost walks. You know, when you sell tickets,
for fun.
Ghost walk, it's historic, it's fun, it's storytelling.
Yeah.
But when you're selling tickets to go into an active haunted location where earthbound spirits are there and they're sensitive to energy, and then so you're bringing in people that have no idea what they're doing to first antagonize the earthbound spirit for one, but then you're bringing in people to a possible hostile environment. The earthbound spirit could get very dangerous depending on their temperament. Now you're leaving all the people that don't know how to protect themselves sensitive and open and vulnerable to possible attack and attachment. It's not the most professional thing to do.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Also, let's face it, we all have these spirit personalities around us. People go to these locations. A good friend of mine owns a location.
Me too.
You know, and some of these people come in and they bring stuff, this whatever it is with them, and it stays in the location. And they go and they drive away.
Yep.
And now you have something else. And it's amazing because now I can go to, you know, if I do a walkthrough, you go through a walkthrough like 11 years ago. Okay, you get you'll get whatever, ABC spirits. Come back 11 years later after it's been inundated and rented out 5 days a week. Everything
changes, or there's different morphed up weird stuff going on in there, and it's like a human. It's like it's weird. I agree with you because stuff changes at a couple of the places I go to quite a bit, either for event work or just going because I'm friends with people. And there's always, it's like, well, this isn't something that was here when I first started coming here 10 years ago, for instance. Right. Where did this guy come from? Where did this thing come from? I mean, it doesn't even match anything of the history. It just, it's bizarre.
Exactly. Yeah,
I think it's more, I'm more protective of the people that don't know how to do these paranormal investigations, that are not amateurs, but those that are buying tickets to go see a haunted location. They find their way to me where I do spirit releasement. I clear so many people that have gone to these locations that have attached, you know, they have spirit attachments because of them, because there's no real education, training, and spirit protection guidance for any of these people walking through. Does it happen to everyone? Absolutely not. But it happens to quite a few people enough to actually speak up and say there really needs to be better practices of people going to these haunted locations so they're not as vulnerable anymore.
Totally agree.
So,
and I think it all starts with doing this and getting information out and making it not so taboo, you know. I always tell people, especially, we just had an interview last night for a possible investigation, and it's like always, they come on and they say, you know, this might sound weird, or, you know, thank you for talking with us. And I told them, I said, every single one of us has had an experience, and that brought us together, and this is why we do this. And oops,
don't hurt yourself.
Did you drop your camera?
So,
Okay.
I'm glad it was the camera. I thought your whole chair went over there.
I did too. I was like, oh my goodness.
what happened? Attack.
Spirits are attacking already. See? That's
See what's happening?
That's weird. I just went over here and my phone fell over. Weird.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But like I was saying, it's what was I saying? Telling them that so we've all been brought together because we've had an experience. So it shouldn't be a taboo topic. It should, because obviously something's happening, right? And I think, like we were saying earlier in the show, I think more and more of society is starting to accept that there are things happening. We can't explain them. And you know what? That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also okay to explore what's happening, but we shouldn't be telling people they're crazy just because we can't explain exactly what's going on.
No, because everybody's has a unique experience.
Exactly.
Their perception of it might be different from yours. Sometimes you have to step into the energy through their perception and see it through their set of eyes. It's okay to do that as long as they give you permission. But when you step in and look at it from their perspective, it's going through their filters. Their filters are what they know, what they believe, their culture, their religion, their experiences, and everything is coming through that filter. So what they say to you might be different from your personal experience, but I guarantee it's all very similar to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We have about 9 more minutes left. So what I want to do is give all of you a chance to direct people to where they can find you if they have any other questions, if you have any galleries coming up, if you'll be at any public locations where you'll be doing anything, if you have any book signings, anything like that, any information you want to put out there.
Go for it, Tim.
I'll be appearing in my living room. No.
What about your feet? Are you showing your feet?
Yes. We will talk about only feet. We'll talk about that on Facebook. But my website. I don't know, Amy. You don't want to know about this stuff. Believe me, Dana and I know too much about each other. That's the problem. But if you want to know more about me, you can go to www.timothytshaw.com. That's my website. My show, The Black Cat Lounge, is live every Tuesday, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, every single Tuesday, and we're on the Paraflix platform. The audio is on ParaX. We're also on YouTube and a couple other places. And this weekend, Sunday, I'm going to be speaking on haunted objects at Earth Spirit, an event in Cheektowaga, New York. After that, I will be speaking. I have a pop-up reading at Dragonfly in Williamsville, New York. I will be teaching scrying the week after that at a place called Mystic Emporium. And then I will be speaking in the Elma Library about paranormal and spirituality. And Dana and I will be holding hands while we're skipping down through the jail cells at the Mansfield
really
Reformatory for Parapsychon stuff in May.
We shall.
You're busy. That's a lot. That's all prior to May.
I'm probably the only person on this whole entire page that does not have a website. I
Smart.
don't like them.
Smart.
So
if I could go through life without social media and a website, I would do it. But
I need to have someone doing for me. I just keep putting it off because I don't use it. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. I'm old school, I guess. But my Facebook page is public, so if you want to friend me, that's where all my events are posted. That's the only place I post my events that I do. I'm horrible. I don't market myself at all. Sorry, guys.
Listen, there's nobody that doesn't know Dana Strickler. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Dana
I don't know about that.
Even before I met her, I knew her.
Well, I have a website, but I don't even use my website.
I had one, and it looks god awful that someone did for me years and years and years ago, and I just anyway, you can find me on Facebook, Dana Stricker, Stricker. Feel free to find me there. You can also reach me through email, which is hauntedspiritgirl@yahoo.com. Pretty boring. But I'm going to be doing quite a few events. I've got one coming up at the end of March in San Antonio, Texas, with the Kling brothers. I'm doing a talk there about the Beauregard Mansion, where my group that I work with called Solstice Sisters, we had a very not fun experience at that place. So I'm going to be talking about that and doing some readings if time allows. This is a very laid back, very small event, very casual. And it's also sold out. So April 10th and 11th, I'm going to be at Ashmore Estates in Illinois doing a fundraiser for suicide prevention awareness. My friend Jessica Potter and I will be doing. Jessica's out in Virginia. She's a good friend of mine. We're also very distantly related, which is really weird.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Through Mary Queen of Scots. Yeah, we have a mutual relative, Scotland.
Wow.
Anyway, we'll be doing a gallery reading. That is also listed on my website or my Facebook page. And you can look that up under Ashmore Estates too to get ticket information on that. I do believe it's free to get in. But I think the gallery costs, like everything's going towards the suicide prevention thing anyway, which is great. That's why we're all going. Dustin Perry will also be there, as will Tim and Lauren Miley from Photographs. And then I will be in Galena, Illinois at the Haunted Galena Conference. I'm doing a gallery reading there. That's at the beginning of April. After that, I'm going to be with Tim Shaw, skipping down the jail cell aisles at Parapsychon 7, where I will be doing a talk about organ donation and people that experience the recipients that experience the donor memory, which I've spoken on that before, but I have a transplant surgeon, I think, that's going to help me out this year, and some people that actually experienced it come through on Zoom. So that'll be kind of cool to listen to. And then this summer, I will be doing Ascension Con in Michigan, which is a brand new event with a whole bunch of people at it. I'll be doing a gallery there. And then I believe UFO Con will be after that, although I have not officially been asked to speak there this year. We'll see. But I usually am there also. So.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Go to my Facebook page because I can't rattle off all this stuff.
And I'll have all these links in the comments after the show. I'm going to go back and get all these links and I'll put them in the comments.
See, I if anybody out there does websites and cheap, let me know.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually kind of backed out this year. I've kind of backed out, but next on the actual 14th, I have a ghost hunt and reading event at the Stimson Hospital in Rapids, Michigan. And I usually do the Witches Weekend up in Houghton Lake.
Yes.
October 15th through the 18th. And I do an actual ghost hunt there. And then I gallery read people on Sunday with 3 or 4 other mediums. So it's really kind of cool. We have like about 100 people come and we just actually go there and just read as many people as we can. So it's really kind of cool. So I do that for Witches Weekend. And then I have Ghost on the Grand, which is a really cool thing. That's downtown at Grand Rapids, Michigan at the Amway Grand Hotel. They have a ghost walk. So that's right around, I think, October 30th. They have it October 29th, October 30th. And they do a ghost walk. They have like probably about 125 people a night that walk through it.
Wow.
I'm actually, last year I was the only reader there, and I read in 2 days, I read 70 people, which was kind of crazy. So this year they're going to give me some help. So hopefully we'll have more readers. But yeah, it's a really, really great environment. Amway Grand's a really top classy hotel. And I mean, they take it to the old hotel that's there, which is really, really cool. And they get to see all the old rooms and stuff, and they get drinks and everything. It's really a pretty cool thing that they put together. They give them snacks and drinks and everything, and they get to experience the actual walkthrough, and then they get a reading from me, which is really awesome.
Awesome. That's cool.
Very cool.
Very good. Very good.
And
I feel
Amy?
that. Wow. So people can find me on my website. I do have one. Just updated amymajor.com. I do readings mostly. I mentor. The majority of my career now is teaching. I teach more than I do anything else at this is, but I do a lot of readings connecting people to their spirit guides, but mentoring, and I do a lot of energy healing, spirit releasement work as well. I do teach a Wednesday night development group every Wednesday night. I taught it tonight before I came on here, and I'll be doing that all year long. I also have a website for my online school, spiritrescuecenter.com. Spent 2 years getting that website up and running. I wrote enough content for 20 books on that site. So it took me 2 years of writing, and I was devoting most of my time to that. So there's all online classes for psychic, mediumship, and rescue mediumship development with certifications on that. I do my podcast show whenever we can get together. My co-host, Jordan Start, who's very heavily involved in the paranormal. She's trying to get me to come to a lot of paranormal conferences this year and next year, which I haven't signed up for yet. I don't know. You guys are going to have to talk me into it. But I've never done paranormal conferences before. I've always done psychic fairs and spiritual conferences, but she's really pushing me to do it because wanting me to do lectures on rescue mediumship and attachments and consciousness and learning through the different dimensional realities and layers. And I'd love to talk, but I could talk for hours about all of this through the metaphysics work that I do. But for now, I teach constantly. And of course, I just finished my last book, which took me a year to write. So we'll see what 2026 has in store for me. I'll wait and see which conferences I sign up for.
Exciting for all of you. And Two Faces Podcast, they had to leave early, but they did put their information here for me. They can be found at twofacespodcast.com. So if you guys want to check their podcast out, you can go there. Heather is sorry, she had something that she had to attend to, so she had to skip out early this evening. But next week, we will be back with Joe Frankie. We've had him on the show before, and he is a really cool guy. And I know that he and Heather have a presentation that they are going to be presenting on the Ouija board, to Ouija or not to Ouija. So that is going to be very, very exciting. You can follow us on Facebook at Ghost Education 101. You can also find us on YouTube at Ghost Education 101. We do have a website that we are working on. It will be up, fully running, we're hoping, very, very soon. And let's see, what else do we have here? Yes, join us next week on the 11th for To Ouija or Not To Ouija. And on the 18th,
or not to Ouija.
To Ouija or Not To Ouija.
I like
and
that.
On the, I know, isn't that a cool title? I love it.
Yeah, it is.
And the two of them together are hilarious. I'm really looking forward to it. And on March 18th, we have a special guest, JB Hill. So that is what we have coming up. I want to thank every one of you so much for coming on tonight and sharing everything. It was really insightful and very, very kind of eye-opening in so many ways. And just thank you. And I hope to have all of you back on.
Thank you. A lot of fun.
Anytime.
It was fun.
It was wonderful meeting you guys. So
Same
thank
here.
you.
Meet you too.
I learned a lot myself tonight, which is awesome.
Well, that's the
what it's
point.
all about.
I think that's
Yeah.
a good thing because, like I said, everybody's different. So it's
Right.
good to get the different viewpoints. So that's why we're here, to be better, right?
Amen.
Exactly.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, guys, have a great evening, and we'll see all of you guys next week.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.